So today we're going to take a look at some subtraction. We're going to use place value understanding to decompose to smaller units once using the standard subtraction algorithm and apply the algorithm to solve some word problems using some tape diagrams. So our first page here, you see we're going to be doing just some basic computations with the standard subtraction algorithm. Okay, so A and B are going to be pretty quick and easy because there is no decomposition. So what you can do, remember you always start at the smallest place first, okay, and then work your way right to left. Okay, you see our letter A here, we get 4,023. Do the same thing for letter B. Okay, notice how they have the same answer because the numbers in the thousands, hundreds, tens, and ones place are all the same. And then 1 10,000 minus 1 10,000 just gets you 0. Okay, now letter C, we have to start doing some decomposition. So we see we first have 5 minus 7. Well, to do that, we need to decompose a 10 into 10 ones. And you can see now we have 15 ones minus 7 to get 8. Okay, and then we can go through the rest of them and get 2,208. Okay. Letter D, same thing. Okay, well now we get to the tens place. We need another group of 10, so we're going to decompose one of the hundreds and turn it into 10 tens. So we have 12 tens minus 3 tens to get 9 tens. Okay, and then the rest follows simply. Okay, now here again, tens place, 0 minus 7. So 5 hundreds becomes 4 hundreds, and then our 10 tens now become, or 0 tens becomes 10 tens. Okay, 10 minus 7 is 3, and so our final answer is 6,030. Okay. Okay, now here we have to decompose once we get to the hundreds place. So in our hundreds place we have 0 minus 5. Okay, so we're going to decompose 1,000 into 10 hundreds in order to finish our subtracting. Okay. Moving on to letter G here. Okay. Ones, tens, and hundreds go pretty simply, but now when we get to the thousands place, now we need to do some decomposition. So one of our 10,000s becomes 10 thousands to add to the 3 we already have. So now we see 13 minus 4 is 9. Okay, so our final answer is 9,010. Okay, now we get to some much larger numbers here, so we have to make sure we're careful. Okay, so our ones, tens, and hundreds go simply, but now we get to our thousands place. Okay, so we need to decompose 1 10,000 into 10 thousands, subtract through, and we get 227,110. Okay, and do the same thing here for our last one. Okay, so hundreds, tens, and ones are fine. Thousands are fine. Okay, but now we need to decompose at the 10,000s place. Okay, so we get 98,220. So now let's take a look at some word problems and how to do this with our tape diagram. So for number 2, we see we're going to draw a tape diagram to represent each problem. We're going to use numbers to solve, and we're going to write our answer as a statement. And then we need to check our answers. That's a big thing. Okay, so we're going to use the inverse operation of subtraction, which is addition, in order to make sure we have the correct answer. So we need a tape diagram, numbers, and an answer statement. This time we need 4 things we need to make sure we include. So number 2 says, what number must be added to 13,875 to result in a sum of 25,884? Okay, so when we go to set up our tape diagram, okay, we know the sum right here is our total, 25,884. Okay, we know one of the numbers is 13,875. Okay, so now we're trying to find this missing number here. Well, we need to add to it. So now we can go through and subtract it out. Okay, so 4 minus 5, so we have to borrow and decompose our tens place. Okay, so now our ones is 14 minus 5, which gets us 9. Okay, and we can see that our number is 12,009. Okay, now we need to check our work. So what we're going to do is we're going to take that 13,875 and we're going to add it to 12,009. Okay, and we want to check to see if we're going to get this 25,884 as our sum. Okay, so I'm going to go to add these up. Okay, we see that we get that number, so it checks. Okay, so 12,009 would be added. Okay, all right, moving on to number 3. So we have artist Michelangelo was born on March 6th, 1475. Author Mem Fox was born on March 6th, 1946. How many years after Michelangelo was Mem born? Okay, so they're born on the same day, so we're going to worry about the years here. Okay, now the larger year is 1946. Okay. And so we know Michelangelo was born here. So we need to know, okay, how much more do we need to add here? Okay, so now we can go through and do our subtraction. Okay. So our 4 tens needs to become 14 tens. And then our 9 hundreds becomes 800s, and we see 471. So again, we're going to check it by adding 1475 plus 471. Okay. And you see that we get 1946. Okay. So Mem was born 471 years after Michelangelo. And we're going to make sure we spell Michelangelo correctly by looking at the problem. Okay. And so that's how we would do that problem. Okay. Moving on to number 4. During the month of March, 68,025 pounds of king crab were caught. If 15,614 pounds were caught in the first week of March, how many pounds were caught in the rest of the month? Okay, so here's our total amount for the month. This amount right here is in the first week, so we want to know the rest of the month. So again, we know the total for the whole month, 68,025. Okay. First week, 15,614. We need to know the rest of the month. Okay. Okay, so we go through and subtract. Okay, hundreds places where we need to do some decomposition. So the 8,000s becomes 7,000s, 0 hundreds becomes 10 hundreds. Then we can go through, finish our subtracting. We get 52,411. Okay, so now let's check it. Okay, so we get 68,025. Okay. So 52,411 pounds. Were caught the rest of the month. Okay, last one, number 5. James bought a used car after driving exactly 9,050 miles. Notice that word exactly, very different from what we were doing with our estimating and our rounding. So we have an exact number. Okay, so after he drove 9,050 miles, the odometer read 118,064 miles. What was the odometer reading when James bought the car? Okay, so we set up our tape diagram. Okay, so we have this total amount of miles that the car has gone. Okay, well, we know he has gone 9,050. So we need to know how many miles were on the car when he bought it. So how many miles did the person before him drive? Okay, so let's take our 118,064. Okay. Alright, and then we do our subtraction. Okay, so now we get to the thousands place, and then we see we have 8 minus 9. So our 1 10,000 becomes 0 10,000s. 8 thousands becomes 18 thousands. Okay, 18 minus 9 is 9. And we get 109,014. So now we go to check it. Okay, add this up. We get 118,064, so we know that it checks. Okay, so the odometer read 109,014 miles when James bought the car.